Let's get this over with. This video is sponsored by Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. Click on the link in the description and use the code PackerMan to save 10% on any order. What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to this live edition of The Fuel, where we're going to be talking about what is quickly becoming one of the most overrated races of the year, the 2023 Hollywood Casino 400. That's what I basically thought of this race. It was nothing but a fucking wet fart. What irritates me to death is there are people online that are saying that this was one of the best races of the entire year, and that Kansas is probably the best track on the schedule. Are we even watching the same fucking race? I mean, either these people are judging these races based on what they see with the finish, or these people have some pretty fucking low standards. Because this race sucked dick. I mean, did you not watch stage 1 and stage 3? Like, up until that final caution came out, that final run of race was boring as fuck. Not to mention the fact that there were right rear tire issues all race long, including one that took out Truex right at the beginning of the race. Of course, that one was a puncture. You know, but the other ones, they were tire failures. Instead of, you know, putting it on Goodyear, who actually makes the damn things, you know, people always want to put the blame on the fucking teams for running too much camber and all this other bullshit. And they don't, nobody wants to fucking hold Goodyear accountable for their quality assurance failures. Because let's be honest, we saw this exact same shit last year. And yeah, we had an exciting finish, but how did we get to that point? With another fucking overtime. The finish might have been quote-unquote exciting, but it was manufactured, as usual. I mean, if we saw that shit after a lone green flag run, it would feel a hell of a lot more organic. That just simply wasn't the case. As my cat wants to rub his face against the camera. This guy's a butthead. See, now you done messed it up. But I just don't get it. I mean, I'm watching these races. I mean, I take fucking detailed notes of these races. See? I take detailed notes of these fucking races. And that requires me to fucking pay attention to what's happening, right? I mean, stage 1, nothing really happened. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, stage 1 was just fucking boring. I mean, stage 2 was slightly better. I mean, it got good near the end of stage 2 when you had I believe it was Keselowski, Hamlin, and Elliott that were racing at the end of stage 2. And I will admit, that was pretty good. And it's like, that's what we saw at Kansas back in the spring. You know, and back in the spring, I gave that race an 8 because I felt like the race deserved it. I thought the race was good. The racing was good. This race felt nothing like that. And I know people are going to come at me with the fucking excuse, well, the restarts were exciting. That's probably because that's in their design. I care more about side-by-side racing after the restarts, after everything starts getting settled out. Where are we going to start seeing the side-by-side action? And it felt like in this race it was extremely non-existent. And people also don't seem to realize that this track, much like Darlington last week, has the same fucking issues with dirty air. I mean, and then of course you have the people defending the fucking playoff format. You know, because Truex has been having... It's 2 weeks in a row that Truex has had bad runs. And people are like, so what? You have to win where it counts. I mean, if you can't perform when it matters most, then you don't deserve to be champ. The problem with that is, this is a sport where you can win by sheer goddamned accident. Okay? Stick and ball formats do not belong in auto racing. And there have been people, and there's one guy on Twitter that said that the full season format is outdated and irrelevant, and he honestly looks like a fucking moron because literally every other motorsport uses this format. NASCAR needs to stop pretending like they're a stick and ball sport. Exactly. Okay, this playoff bullshit needs to end. Let's just be completely honest here. I mean, the world of motorsports is too goddamn chaotic to be doing this points reset bullshit. I mean, it feels corporate and it feels manufactured, and I'm just not for that shit. I'm not. There's too much shit that can go wrong. The only way to bring any sort of semblance, it's like Slapshoes said in that playoff video that he made, which I highly recommend, by the way. The only way to bring any semblance of order to the chaotic world of motorsports is in the aggregate. The only format that makes sense is a full season points total. This playoff format bullshit that they put in place to try to bring, you know, all the casual fans back that they lost from the boom period that they had. I mean, the only thing it's done is alienate their hardcore fan base. You know, I just don't fucking get it with some of these NASCAR tubers, dude. I really don't. You know, they're saying, some of them are saying that this was, you know, the best regular season that NASCAR has seen in a long time. And I just don't get it. It's like they're just ignoring all the fucking problems that this company has. It's ridiculous. And quite frankly, extremely disingenuous. Of course, it could have been worse. This race could have been worse. Dickhead Hamlin was on his way to winning it. He had basically a 3-second lead on Reddick. And if it would have ran green, he would have won this race. And if he would have won this race, I would have done what I did with the Darlington Xfinity race. I would have given this race an automatic 0. Because I'm sticking to my guns on that. I cannot fucking stand Hamlin. He's a narcissist. He's an asshole. I can't stand people like him. I mean, after he basically exposed himself and showed his ass for what he was after Pocono, I cannot fucking stand Hamlin. NASCAR doesn't want to admit that they're wrong. Exactly. I said, Marcus, you hit it right on the fucking head. I have said that I don't know how many times. NASCAR does not know when to admit that they're wrong. They hate it. Which is why we will never see them get rid of the playoff format until after this company's dead. You want to know why? Because if they ever got rid of this playoff format, they'd basically be admitting that they were wrong for more than 20 years. And they have too much of a fucking ego to do that. You absolutely fucking nailed it. And it's absolutely irritating because there have been some good things that they have been doing this year. The return to North Wilkesboro. That was a huge deal, going back to North Wilkesboro. You know? The schedule changes. That was another big thing. Addressing the safety concerns that this car had. Taking out some parts from the front of the car to soften the car, to allow it to absorb hits better. So that way it's transferred off of the driver. I'm not saying that NASCAR hasn't been trying to do things to improve the sport. It's just that they've also been doing things that have been not so good for the sport. It's a case of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And it just seems like NASCAR just cannot get out of their own fucking way. And the problem is, by the time they realize that they've been wrong all along, it'll be too late. And as someone who has watched the sport for 30 years, you know, a little guy that used to be a huge fan of Davey Allison before his untimely death in 1993. He was a huge fan of Dale Jr., especially during his prime years. You know, I mean, I remember how good this company used to be. I mean, 2001 to 2006, that 5-year stretch, in my personal opinion, that was literally the golden age. Because literally every race, I had that excitement before every race. I was excited because, you know, I didn't know what I was going to watch because it was just so unpredictable. You know, you just didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I don't have that anymore. I don't feel excited to watch these races anymore. maybe it's just me getting older and getting more cynical. I don't know. Maybe being more analytical has taken away some of the joy of watching these races, but I've started to notice things that I didn't really notice in my younger years. And I've noticed that NASCAR has a lot of problems. And these are problems that need to be addressed. And I honestly feel like these NASCAR tubers just aren't doing their fucking job and letting people know that these are issues that need to be addressed. I mean, is that too much to ask for? I mean, instead of being afraid of jeopardizing your oh so precious, partnership with NASCAR, that you get, pit passes and fucking media access and all this other shit. How about you fucking be honest for once? And give the proper fucking criticisms to this company and tell this company there are problems that need to be addressed, period. And a lot of people are saying that this race was a banger race and Kansas is probably one of the best tracks on the circuit, when the fact of the matter is this race was anything but a banger race. And it doesn't really matter if the track is one of the best. It doesn't reflect in the grandstands. I mean, did you see the grandstands? They were mostly empty. Kansas does not deserve 2 dates. In fact, I would say there are a lot of tracks on the circuit right now that could go without a second date. Darlington doesn't need a second date. Atlanta doesn't need a second date. Phoenix doesn't need a second date. Kansas does not need a second date. There are a lot of tracks. Richmond, Bristol. They're not bringing in the audience numbers anymore. They're not bringing in the attendance figures anymore. They need to scale some of these tracks back to just 1 date and start spreading it around to tracks that want to host cup races. I mean, if they, like I said before, if they want to keep the dirt race a thing in the Cup Series, how about taking it to an actual dirt track? Eldora would be perfect. I mean, I honestly wish NASCAR and Tony Stewart would sit down and try to fucking hash it out. Because I would love to see the Cup Series go to Eldora. I mean, hell, I can't even remember the last time the Cup Series ever visited the state of Ohio. They have before, but it was a long ass fucking time ago, I'll tell you that much. And it would just be a short ride up the road, about an hour or so. I'd be fine with that. But I don't know. I just don't know. I'm honestly just ready for this season to be done, to be truthful. I think I'm just fucking burnt out on this shit. Covering all these races. I mean, there's 4 truck races left, 7 Xfinity races left, and 8 Cup races left. You add all that up, that's 19 races that I've still got to cover in the next few months. I'm definitely going back to just covering the Cup Series next year. Because I'm just burnt out on this shit. Maybe that's another reason why I've been so cynical as of late. But contrary to what some people think, the racing's just not been that good. And if they honestly think it is, I mean, more power to them, but they're honestly fucking lying to themselves. So, I don't know. What's honestly so weird as well is this race felt nothing like the spring, and yet you look at these statistics. There were 19 lead changes. Obviously, some of that was a bunch of restarts and green flag pit stops. There were only 3 pure lead changes the entire day, and it took until lap 163 to get the first one. 7 total caution flags. Kind of blows my mind is there were 3,800 green flag passes. Yet it just didn't seem like there weren't any near the front of the field. I honestly think that a lot of these green flag passes were at the back of the field. Because, I mean, I was watching that scoring pile on the entire time, and it just seemed like there wasn't really much movement. Especially inside the top 10, top 5. So, I don't know. But Kyle Larson led the most laps with 99. Yeah, but Tyler Reddick ended up winning it. I mean, he did pull a nifty 3-wide move on the front stretch a la Christian Eckes from the truck race. And it got him the win. It got him a much needed win, honestly. Because I think his only win this year is all the way back at Circuit of the Americas, if memory serves. And he's been kind of up and down ever since. So finally gets to victory lane. And he's moving on to the round of 12. So, hey, good for him. At least it wasn't Hamlin that won, because otherwise this race would have gotten a 0. But as it stands, my final rating for the 2023 Hollywood Casino 400, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. I mean, the finish, the finish was alright. I think Tyler Reddick is a little underrated. He has the speed, but not the execution. But today he executed. Well, the pit crew also executed, which brings me to another thing. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that 20 pit crew. I mean, they had a pit crew swap, and it just seems like nothing has changed. I mean, I don't know if that 50... Because that pit crew was actually on the 54 team. And they decided to make the swap. I mean, you would think that 54 team would have been happy to be competing in the playoffs to try to win a championship, but it just seems like they're just fucking sabotaging the 20's pit stops. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, but they need to get that shit sorted. Because it's honestly embarrassing. But yeah, this race gets a 3 out of 10. I mean, this was a boring fucking race. I mean, it really was. And I tried my damnedest to find anything that was worth a damn. I mean, I would say the end of Stage 2 and the beginning of Stage 3 was really the best parts of this race, because we actually saw racing in that section of race. The end of Stage 2, beginning of Stage 3. And then Tyler Reddick at the finish. Other than that, this race was fucking dick. It sucked dick. I don't know what else to say. But next week is the Bristol night race, and I'm concerned. Because before this new car, the Bristol night race was a banger for years upon years. And then we got the new car in the Bristol night race last year, and the Bristol night race last year sucked dick. And it was incredibly frustrating. So I have some concern coming into this year, because it seems like the short track package has not gotten any better. You know, and now we're coming back to the Bristol night race, which is a big deal. It's also the round of 16 cutoff. I'm concerned. I hope to God that the night race delivers this year. I really do, because we need something to get out of this fucking pit of mediocrity that NASCAR is in right now. I don't know. But that's gonna do it for this review. I think I'm gonna go to bed a little bit early because I'm tired. I mean, the last 2 weeks have just been fucking hectic as all hell. So I think I'm gonna hit the hay early and just go to bed and get some sleep. Because it's right back to work tomorrow once again. Back to 9 hours. Woohoo. But thank you very much for watching this edition of The Fuel. Sorry it's kind of low energy, but I just don't really have the energy right now. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See you later. This video is sponsored by Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. Click on the link in the description and use the code PackerMan to save 10% on any order. What's happening, ladies and germs? Thank you for watching tonight's video. If you're interested in sponsoring the channel, there is a link to my Patreon down in the description box below. Otherwise, hit like and subscribe if you want to continue watching great content like you saw today. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out.